Yeah. I think that's a very good sector to be in, the way economy is going. And I write every day on LinkedIn on AI, and the more I write, the more I think that's a very good sector to be in. Okay, sorry, I was trying to. Are you guys okay if I relay our meeting on Search Funder and YouTube live so that others can join? Okay. And we will get and you guys get talking, and I need to maybe join you in a couple of minutes. I need to just put that YouTube thing in there. Are you also, Tom, a searcher?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
Where are you from?
Florida.
Fantastic. I, before we moved to Austin, I wanted to move to either Austin or Florida, like Tampa or something, but your your insurance costs scared the hell out of me, and I moved here. And
Yeah, they're
I
pretty bad
don't
these days.
I don't see many trees here near me, so I hope we will go back sometimes, to take a look at that. But anyway, the so that's thing. I hope I am online. I have just shared that thing there. But anyway, so thank you very much for joining. We'll take a half a minute more and then we get started. And I will share my and this gentleman who's with me, he is my business partner and the CEO, and he
Oh,
uh, is here to just a minute.
to answer some technical questions, I guess.
Yeah, sorry. Not only technical questions, solution, and all that, because
Yeah.
AI is such an advanced and changing field, and I think I may not be able to answer everything. So I'll give you my background a little bit and our company's background and Yevgen's background, and then we get started, and I can pull up our presentation and then get going on that. Have you ever, so you both are searching right now and have not bought a company, correct? Yeah, and you guys have experience in what kind of an industry, may I ask?
For me, I had a company in the automotive service space, and
Okay,
then I do consulting and advisory work for primarily consumer-based service companies. So anything from gyms to uh, plumbing and HVAC companies to, that kind of realm.
fantastic, fantastic. What about you, Tom?
My background is predominantly in private equity and investment banking.
Okay,
Some operational roles through kind of issues that have occurred in certain portfolio companies that required stepping in from the private equity group, more to kind of either save or turn around specific portfolio companies.
yeah, no, that's a very good, very paying, a very stressful and very paying field, I guess. I have seen a turnaround myself in my eyes. And before I start, I'll tell you, I'm a board member and a partner in a company in Canada, Calgary, and we are in Canadian wildfire management, and we have a bunch of planes. We go up, take a look at the forest fires, take pictures real time, and with AI and all that, we do analysis and give it to the firefighters before we land. So we did all the Ontario fires this year, and Winnipeg and not Winnipeg, Manitoba fires and all that stuff. We did Quebec last year, we did Alberta and BC. So we have been doing good, but I wanted to tell you that turnaround, I've seen that turnaround. It took us 4 years from basically pull it out from zero to now. I think we should be valuing around 35 to 40 million. So that's one of the successes we had. But Yevgen and I are partners in this AI and custom software company. And I'll pull up my presentation, and then we can stop and talk about anything related to our presentation here or anything related to AI. Okay, just a minute. Do you see my screen here? You guys see my screen? Okay, great. So our topic today is learn the most effective ways to implement AI in your business and why most AI projects fail and how we can make sure your doesn't. Uh, I have been saying in the last so many months that the future looks like we will be combining the human and the custom or AI agents together, and they will be working as teams together to solve the the problems and the automation problems and all that in many of the businesses. And I believe our smartest hire in the future or even now isn't a person or a human. It is going to be an AI agent. Even though Yevgen and I always say in the initial stages we can have a human in the loop for all the projects. So let me give you a little bit of a background. I am a SCORE mentor. I don't know whether you know about SCORE, but I'm a I help a lot of organizations as a volunteer. Every week, three, four businesses come to me. It's a SBA sponsored organization, and in US there are around 10,000 volunteer members. I am a partner in this company. I have IBM background and I have been an independent consultant for many years in Canada. All companies like Suncor and all that, Alexander, were my clients at that one point of time. I told you about the Verimap. Uh, Today we will talk about AI imperative. What is the new reality? And I speak a few things about it so that we are on the same aligned on the pace it is happening. We'll talk about some operational areas in any business where we can implement it. Like Tom wants to implement in one company or the other in your private equity fund or such fund. It is possible. We will talk about the your personal business's personal GPT. We call it as a central AI brain. And we will also talk about AI projects, why they fail, and how to make sure we doesn't fail. We all know we are seeing a tsunami right now, and our goal right now is to use it as a lever and first observe that AI has shifted the paradigm of growth. All the past years, whenever we wanted to grow in any organization, the only way to grow was we said we need 5 people or 10 people as an employees to grow. Now that thing has changed. We can grow. The only limit is our vision, not our team size. Like for example, one of the slides I have here to both of you is that when we talk about uh, uh, say suppose you are a consumer product organization, right? Or in HVAC case, you have a HVAC company which has a lot of calls in the in the winter season, and in the summer season they drop off. So what do you do with those customer service employees and all that? So if you can enhance this, if you can add the number of people, number of agents as a inbound customer service voice agents or even chat agents, you'll be able to take load and maybe multiply it to 500 people if you are a $30 million company tomorrow, right? So you just have to multiply that. You don't have to hire more people, train them, and all that stuff, which usually happens, and onboarding and all that. So this is what our goal is. What is the reality? We believe that in the past we either hire more people or buy more apps. In any company, whether it is Suncor or any small company here in Austin, I have seen various companies, and most of the time we are bombarded with many, many apps saying, buy me, buy me, buy me, but they are not talking to each other, and we end up 40% of our processes in any company are done on either emails or on the spreadsheets. And that's where I talk about. And you guys are also a searcher, so you know how AI is taking over a few industries. And you know that this guy Vinod Khosla, I don't know whether you guys have heard of him or not. He is a Silicon Valley investor, a billionaire, who said 80% of the tasks we do as a humans, cognitive tasks, will be done by AI. Now, even if he's 50% correct, I'm still scared. I need to prepare as a business owner how is it going to impact me. And the speed I always talk about, the 46 years for electricity to hit 25% of the US homes, 7 years for internet, and 5 years for chat GPT. And that is the speed we are talking about here. Now, I want you to stop for a minute in whatever businesses you're buying and think, if this guy, Ford CEO, who probably knows better than me and has more data than me, if he says half of the white collar employees will lose their job, how will it impact me? I was presenting at a tutoring center conference a couple of last week, and I told them, I said, if half of your customers lose their job, who will send their kids for tutoring, right? So we whatever business we have in your fund, we need to qualify that and see, is it going to impact? And if it is going to impact, how can I make sure either I am so essential that people have to buy from me, or I become so cheap that they cannot ignore me. And how do we do that cheap? We will figure out in a few minutes. And I always say, if I don't double your output and with same headcount, I'm not in the right business. When I say double your output, it means at least 5x impact, because double your output in every sphere, whether it is responding to your inquiries, or doing other customer service work, or any invoice verification work, or anything, we can do a 5x impact, and hiring is not equal to this. But here's a very interesting question I have for you. Were you ever an employee before? Both of you, any time in your life, or were you always an entrepreneur?
Once.
Okay, once. Okay. What about
Oh yeah,
Tom?
I've predominantly been an employee.
Okay. So my question is, I've been an employee for 25 years, and I always ask this question and stop here and say, when we have a team of humans and AI agents together, and we like the idea of 5 to 10 agents reporting to me, but that can change also very soon, where some of us will be reporting to the AI agent also. And I ask this question to people and in many forums of related to AI and all that. It is the reverse is more scarier sometimes for humans to say, oh, I want people to report to me, even though it's agents, but if I have to report to him, it may have a different impact. But anyway, it's just a funny thing I always share here. And I would love you guys, both of you, to make a note of this speech which this guy gave. He and search on YouTube called "Software is Eating Labor." He explains very beautifully that in the last 40 years, software basically changed the filing cabinet. He says he's a big guy in Silicon Valley and all that. Whether it is QuickBooks or Salesforce or anything, they took from a cabinet, a filing cabinet, to the software where human was involved and engaging with the computer to do some stuff. The AI, the currently agentic AI, which Evgen and I are talking about all the time these days, is that we have possibility of removing that human now in the game, right? Your all the work in the administrative work and the which has been done where humans are involved, and where some those administrative work can be achieved by these AI agents. Now, in the initial stages, we always suggest we have a human in the loop. That's why we call it as a custom AI agents, so that we can control these agents. And once they start getting better and better, you can start going in an advanced stage. I, you know, I gave this example of a Black Friday or a Christmas sale where there's a spike, and you had to hire thousands of people or hundreds of people or tens of people depending on your business. But now, once your software or AI inbound customer service rep is working fine, with the press of a button, you can have 500 more created, right? So that's why this guy is saying software is eating labor. And we're talking about you versus AI. I think you both are entrepreneurs. There is no confusion in the mind that AI can be levered to do much stuff. I want to talk about here, how do we identify and transform the operations, and which operations in your business, any business, we can transform with the help of agentic AI and automation. And I use the word automation here because our company is known for, we have our many programmers, very senior programmers in Ukraine and in other parts of East Europe, and we have done many projects, whether it is e-commerce and others in automation. So that's why combining agentic AI and automation is the secret sauce, is the unfair advantage we have. So I already said that we need to, in the first phase of any implementation, rather than just going in for all the thing, we need to find, the most important thing is that when you have a business, when you buy a business, whether it is HVAC or you advise as a consumer person, consume as an advisor in a company, the most the this the first step is to figure out which areas are documented or can be easily documented, and where we have a process and a standard operating procedure. Because if we don't have that, then any AI is not a magic button, and it cannot do anything better than that, right? So that's the first step. We do that. um, I'm just trying to see if anybody else is coming or not. And like, I don't have to remind you guys are, because you both are saying that every, like Mark Zuckerberg said that I like this statement a lot. Every business has an email address, a phone and website and a social media account right now. And he thinks that every business is going to have an AI agent in the near future. And that is the power of this. And that's why we have been saying hybrid workforce. And to prove my point, a giant bank, I read this case study. I don't know the name of the bank, but the five people, I have been in technology, I have been in IBM. We used to have hundreds and hundreds of people working in projects, right? And these guys have done one project where five people used 100 smart helpers or 100 AI agents to do a complicated project. And that's, even though it was a test, it has proved to be very good, and it is proven that we can do it. Now, this may be very dear to your heart, because as a SCORE mentor, I have met so many people where, and many of our SCORE other mentors also have shared with me, that many businesses come to us and say, I have been thinking I am making 15% margin, but when I close my books and my CPA tells me you have either earned nothing or have just made 5%. Why is that happening with me? Right? So we call it a chaos tax. We call it as the friction in the company, and that friction is what we are trying to remove with the help of AI and agentic AI. And please stop me if you have any question. I want to talk about here what Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff has said, that he is implementing 1 billion generative AI agents by the end of this year for all of his customers. That is you know, no matter what company we buy, we acquire or we try to run, we are going to fight with one or the other big corporates also in some part of the world, unless you are in an HVAC kind of a situation. And if they start throwing in so many agents and all that and reduce their cost, we need to do the better than that. And since we are more nimble, since we are more better, faster, we can do that faster. I want to talk about, this is one of the scenarios where we suggest you should have the first AI agent. The I call it as a leaky budget, that we invest in ads, we invest in SEO, we invest in social media to fill our pipeline. But actually, what happens is we do not go and respond to these customers within 5 minutes. Like if you ever call, Tom, you are in Florida, and you must have heard of since you are in US, you must have heard of a service called a Place for Mom. It's an assisted living aggregator kind of a company, which provides seniors when they want to move to personal care or nursing care homes to somebody. The moment you call, within half a second, somebody is with you, picking up the call and talking to you. And that luxury is not there with the small business, no matter what you do. So now, because they are busy, they are going to talk tomorrow, they are going to talk 2 days from now. The customer is not waiting. Customer is moving on and talking to five other people, even though you have triggered by the sale, by instigating it, but by making it more important by advertising and all that. And he's talking to five other people, and ultimately you may lose that thing. So that's one of the most important use cases we have. Now, this is another use case with Yevgen and I have worked on. This was a building material company, and I think maybe Alexander will relate to it because he is working in this kind of an industry. Now, for any like for any person who is like HVAC or a lumber supplier or a building material supplier, the most important thing is to know when the permit is being given to this builder, right? So in this case, the agent will pick the county permit website and city permit website, pick that information on, say, who is getting the permit today, right? And these counties near me. Then it will extract that information, put it onto a CRM or a spreadsheet. Then the next agent, which is a voice agent, will pick up that stuff from that CRM or a Google Sheet, and it will start calling that in the human voice. It will start calling the builder and say, congratulations, you have just been approved a permit for 123 Main Street, and we are at this company. Why don't you come over and to our showroom? Or they start conversation, book a meeting, and let the salesperson or a general manager know we already had a call. That every this entire process from lead, receiver, and then here we are trying to make it a machine to search for leads and actually making a calls and booking meetings, can all be automated, and at a fraction of a cost. Now, if you are this is one of the use cases we have been talking about, and this is kind of a in a construction company, you can say. A field supervisor wants a product or a copper fitting or something. It Rather than sending an email which gets lost and then multiple reminders and all that, and the administrative girl or somebody is busy, so this guy sends a message or a phone call to the voice agent. It understands it transcribes, understands it, whether it is a real urgent or not, then moves on to a high priority sales order automatically. At the same time, the same agent is the AI assistant is going to create that, if it is allowed and there is no human in the loop required. But if it is a human in the loop required, it goes to the human right now. But if it in this scenario, it doesn't require a human in the go, it goes straight to the supplier. Supplier sends the ETA to the against this purchase order to the agent. Agent receives it, updates the field supervisor. The entire process is seamless. That's the and if it is all defined, it's easier said than done. If it is divided what product and what kind of areas we can do that. And if it is not a non-urgent thing, then it can go for a material request and just create a normal purchase order and go to the human and decide whether it is needed or not. So all these information can be done by this thing. This is customer service. I talked about that tutoring center franchisees I talked about. Now, most of the businesses, when customer service exec persons or your admin people or yourself answer most of them are common questions. 90% of the time is spent on answering questions. The same thing is there on the website. Same thing is there on the color and everything, but still people have a habit of talking and asking questions. We can either create a chatbot or a AI brain, or create an agent based on that and answer those questions, and only exceptions come to you. That itself can bring so much of momentum in the company and free up so much of a time in your company. I believe if you look at it, how many times owners and general managers and key people are stopped from their high value work to answer a bunch of questions because your staff couldn't answer it because they were searching in few emails where it was lost, and all that is happening, and this is the one of the biggest time drain we have. This is one of these, and then the compliance is one of the issues we have. We can work on. This is one of the low hanging fruits and high value fruit in any organization. This is one of my favorite. And I was talking to a McKinsey consultant, Alexander, a few days back. He spent last year and a half, I don't know in which oil and gas company, but year and a half spent to just set this thing up. That he just wanted to ensure uh, that when they receive thousands of employees, thousands of invoices, like suppose even in a smaller company, you have a invoice comes in which have 150 items. I bet nobody has time to look at the 150 items and say which item is being overcharged and which item I received a special discount 3 months back. I also forgot, it is buried in the email. But if I have a central brain or a business GPT or something which is looking at the emails and the contracts and all that and doing that vendor automation and vendor invoice verification, I just have to worry about that exception. And when it is flagged as this thing, hey, this invoice does not include a particular price. That is the power we have. We are not trying to reduce the number of people. We can have them do a bunch of better stuff. The next thing is equally very important is now on the account receivable. How many times you see now I have a bunch of properties in US. I see so many good HVAC people or other contractors are sending invoices very fast. All that is covered. The moment the work is done, invoice comes, I can pay. But the more complex areas where they have to find the supporting documents, they have to find other things, they have to make a report, all that is left for a weekend or some other time or in the evening, and it gets delayed by 5 7 days, and that in my opinion is unnecessary. And then you don't have people to call them and say, I want to basically, so remind them in 70, 30, 20, 60 days to basically remind them for payment as per schedule. We don't have that time. And one of the things which I have seen in many big companies is when I used to be I was an SAP consultant for many years in IBM. I I used to see why the money is not coming in the company, because when the time came for money, even for a larger organization, they would call and say, hey, I was expecting a payment, 60 days have just happened, right? The 60th day, you call the person, and the person on the other side says, oh, your invoice is not getting processed because your invoice is not in the format of what my software wants, right? And that one miss is gone. So if you have a proper invoice creation based on hundreds of complex calculations, I think it is easier. I think chances of doing such mistakes or not knowing till the 60th is going to be much better. Now, this is one of the biggest thing which we always talk about is how do we have a AI central brain, your own business chat GPT in your business where your folders will start talking, your emails will last. Like I always give this example, you have key employees, you have people working in your organization. When they leave with all the information and all the knowledge. The new guy comes in, you are training the guy for the next 1 year, and then again somebody leaves, and then you're again in. So if you have all the information and you're able to capture that for the last 8, 10 years, and that all of them together, whether it is training videos, whether it is ad results or policies, or here I'm giving this tutoring franchisee example, but any other policies, SOPs, and all that, product information, and all this information can be kept in there so that customers, when they ask, employees, when they search for invoices or in past information, you are looking for some information as a CEO. Like, when was the last time we got this quality complaint from this vendor? What was the invoice? What was the product? How many times it has happened? Rather than having somebody else, you can have, while driving or doing something, you can ask these questions and you can get all these answers right away. All that is the power, in my opinion, these folders can talk and have. Any question for me? And before I can show you something more on that. Nope. Okay. Please tell me. And this is the 10 leaks, and I have already shared a few of them to you. That when the work is completed, when the final payment is in the bank, how many days does it take? I usually ask in my presentations on that you as a business owner need to look at how many days it is happening. Can I reduce it? And was it because of my own friction in the company, or how can I reduce that thing, for 10 days to 5 days, 2 days to 0 days? And the second thing is human copy and paste. If you, no matter which organization I've worked for 25 years, large, big, or small, most of the time the people are doing some copy here, some calculation there, looking at the email and getting something done on this on a software. That copy paste problem can be solved, and any agent can do that work. If you have the steps taken care of, if you have all that captured, that can be done by a AI. We can save at least 10 hour plus per week for your team. Vendor overpayment, we have already talked about it. We have already talked about the leak sales. We have already talked the key people knowledge. You can have that in the central brain. We have that already covered. And onboarding is one of the most important thing. We have so many onboarding frustrations happening in every company. uh, we are chasing for signatures, we are manually sending forms. All that can be done by an AI agent. So these are the things I have captured here for our conversation starter. I just want to talk about one more thing important here. The most important thing so that the projects don't fail is we need to find the starting point. The starting point is those places where you have a repetitive process. Somewhere there is some kind of a definitive process or a standard operating procedure. Then we have to talk about strategy and not having an unrealistic like these days. If you look at social media and everywhere, every motivational speaker, even our biggest Tony Robbins, is now talking about AI. I don't know how everybody who was a trainer before has become an AI expert. Okay, and technically, I laugh at it, and people like Yevgen and I have spent years in software and all that, and we're looking at them and say, I don't know why these people are coming up with so many things, but anyway, they have an audience, and we have a, you need to choose the right partner, not just the another app. That's my way of saying that right person which can understand the gaps. We can look at the cracks in the system and the missed catches, like I say, and then how we can connect them together. And we need to also look at data related issues to make sure the things don't fail. We need to see how these, we go away from the shiny object syndrome, and we have the right people and the right uh, you know resources involved. But anyway, this is the little bit of information so that we can have some conversation. If you have any question, I would be, and Yevgen will be very excited to answer that.
I guess I can kind of start off and we can make it a broad question and you can answer it how you want. So let's take, for example, you were talking about HVAC. Take an HVAC company and explain to me how or what type of systems you would propose to build for that type of a company and what that would look like from a development standpoint for the company if you're talking to me as the owner, um, and what type of services and stuff like that would you include in that?
So I and Yevgen will add to it later, but I'll give you a framework what I understand from any business, whether it is
Give me any
HVAC.
example. It doesn't have to be HVAC.
Yeah,
So
no, I will give HVAC and I can take any other example. Any business, what you look at, will have, like I said, lead generation activity, right? You have leads coming in, you are responding to the leads, you are sending them estimates, you are supporting them with something, you have some software. So here I gave an example of lead generation and how and when to respond. So my first goal will be to give you a few AI assistants who are either responding to the AI assistant in a chat bot or AI assistant and in addition to that in a voice, like in a human voice, just like you and I are doing a conversation. So that will be the first. Then we will also figure out if HVAC company has some B2B customers or some other customers where, or any other existing customers where you want to, because you cannot just call a random person. You have to have a customer, right? Because of the laws these days. You can have your existing customers and create some kind of a promotion or something. You used to have somebody else, human employee, go and talk to them, or never had anybody call to them. Have somebody call your existing employees and offer some services, offer some tune-ups, offer some other things. By what expense? Just one extra AI agent who is going to be your employee without extra cost or anything, without extra much cost. Now, the third thing which can happen in any HVAC company is like I talked about some vendor payments, or I talked about some certifications. I talked about some employees certification. You hire 10 employees, whether they are certified today or whereas their certification ending and all that stuff, whether we need to remind those people or not, whether they should be working on the class or not. So all that has to be managed by somebody. And we use reminders and all that, but if you have agents taking care of that, then you can only look at the exceptions. So these are kind of stuff we can do. We can do onboarding, we can do other training and all that, improving the skill sets of the people. So all those kind of things can be done in any company.
Yeah, I would like to add that any routine operation is very good target for automation. Like we work it with some guys, and for like middle size or small size HVAC company, they usually need to buy some, stuff from other vendors. It's usually different vendors, not only one. They have this PDF files with a list of, different products. They send emails usually with a just a list, regular list. I want to buy this one next week, receive invoices the same way, need to pay bills in the same way. And it's very good way, like pretty much everyone has some kind of ERP system. And what we did for some guys, we just, monitor it, all incoming emails. And they created a special email account for that. We monitored all of that, try to parse and import all that information directly into ERP, because it's very important to have ERP updated. And people from their side, managers, they spent like 2-3 hours a day just entering information here and there and exporting that information outside and sending it to different vendors. That's also very good target for automation. We can parse all of that, import into ERP automatically, send some summary email to managers, so manager just can go and check what's going on there. And that's go saves 2-3 hours sometimes a day for like company who has 50 or 70 employees. And that's what we did in the past. Apart that, as Sandeep mentioned it, questions for manufacturing and HVAC companies. You always have some questions to other people, right? Especially if you have new people in your team. They want to know how you work. They want to know what you've done in the past. They want to know what kind of projects you did in the past, where you find the documentation about the projects. And in most companies, small and medium business, there is no any strict rules and strict structure, how they save documents, how they manage all documents. And the easiest way to that, create just FAQ like question and answer, but nobody reads the FAQs, right? And we pull this information in AI bot, and in their system they use Microsoft Teams, and you can just chat against that bot, ask different questions, and receive your answers immediately. Apart that, we connected that to their ERP, so you can ask questions and receive questions from ERP. Like, for example, do we have this amount of product? Because we'll need that for the next work next week, for example. And it can go to the system and return it back, this information. Can you go and find it yourself? Yes, you can. But very often it's much easier and quicker just to shoot one message to the bot and receive the answer immediately. Or that some people usually are responsible for that, and they may not be available right now. But if they have some emails or save this information somewhere, we can pick up that information and get answers to the people immediately, instead of waiting that my CEO is free in the next 2 hours just to answer one question from them. That's a very good example of pulling information here and there, and speed up the whole process, do not make different delays on the delivery. That's exactly what we did for HVAC companies. Maybe you have some more ideas, but overall, any routine is kind of very good target for automation. So people can solve problems, because there are many problems which we believe is very essential. I don't believe that chatbot will be able to call you and like talk to you about the problems. The human should do that. The human should make a decision about what you need to do. And there are always enough some such kind of work. But when it comes to the papers, to moving information here and there, and all this informational stuff, that shouldn't be on the human side, because we hate to do that. We're not very good at that, and saving information and making order information. And that's a very good target to switch that to computer and
And I,
and
I,
forget
I
about it.
want, I want to add a very funny example which I read somewhere. Somebody, a few dentists had uh, implemented one of the AI agentic solutions, right? And one of the scenario which they put them was to interact with because one of their major problem was to talk and follow up with the insurance companies, and they were not getting paid. So they implemented, rather than having a humans, they implemented this on a daily basis to talk to the insurance companies and note down information, respond. And I was reading this as case study, and I was surprised to see that when they said that when we listen to the tapes, the insurance company reps complimented these AI agents and said, I have never seen anybody speak so with knowledge, and you have all the knowledge. And this person, who was an AI agent, actually blushed and said, thank you, it means a lot to me. And I'm surprised, how how can you as an AI agent blush and respond? right? So you cannot. So the one thing which I wanted to say here, or I think I must have forgotten in that slide, is we saw in many, many years, like whether it is RPA, robotic process automation, and all that, that we always had in a software say, if this happens, do this. If this happens, we do this. We have tens and hundreds of steps created, software and programs, and you have an 11th twist come in the business, and the software will fail, right? So now, with this kind of a thing, you can safely have some, without context, you can't do anything. I'm not saying it's a panacea and you can say solve all the problems of the world with AI agents, but you can, if you provide a proper context and a proper training and a proper subject and proper SOPs to ingest and understand, I think we can make it work and we can make it blush at the right time. I'm just joking, but I don't know how they did that, but it is possible. By the way, I also have, I'm a investor in real estate, and I made many months back. I made a very interesting agent for myself, and I tested it a few times, and I am amazed. I just had to give the context and say, you are this kind, you are a representative of this company. You have to do these steps. You have to be empathizing. You are talking to a person who is distressed home seller. They are falling behind a foreclosure, and this is the strategy you follow. And this is blah blah blah. I have tested on various occasions. I've given it to my friends to go and break it, and every time I'm very happy with it. So I'm going to implement it in my, you know, I'm just restricting myself because of the laws these days that you cannot just do robocalls, but to our employees, to our customers who have already opted in, we should not have any problem in doing something like this. Any other question? Tom, what kind of companies your group has?
Predominantly actually manufacturing and industrial service companies. I
Manufacturing
spend a lot of
is,
time
yeah,
out in oil and gas fields, so I'm kind of familiar with that. I'm not afraid of kind of larger CapEx businesses, kind of heavy asset businesses. I'm also working with an engineer who's a mechanical and industrial engineer, so he's got a good ops side, and I've got a good finance and accounting side. So
yeah,
that's where we've been spending our time. I mean, I wish I had a, I really wish I had like a specific example. My questions are more like around like limitations to kind of these agents, for example. Like, I mean, one thing comes to mind, like ERP systems for kind of small companies. Most of them don't have ERP systems. I mean, they don't, and lots of times even smaller vendors or suppliers, they may not have ERP systems. I mean, what's the base like threshold requirements for an operating business as well as kind of like the vendor side or any kind of supplier side? I mean, do you need an API? Do you need an ERP? I mean, where the agents are
Yeah,
unable to work?
that's a very good question. And you know, there is no magic. Agent needs data as a fuel. Like for agent, the main fuel is data. You should have it somewhere, or you should create it somewhere. It's not always should be an ERP. It just can be your Google Documents, for example. That's totally fine. Or I don't know, some Microsoft environment, any environment you have. But you should put your information in some way somewhere. If you can do that, the rest is a matter of integration with that. That's totally fine. The downside, if you grow, you will probably install some kind of software and you will need to migrate. But at the point of start is just save your information somewhere. That's all the requirements you need to have.
Interesting.
And that's actually it may sound easy, but that's not, because people usually have, even in large companies, they have a lot of information just in people's heads. And
yeah,
and for small business, it's very typically like every person knows everything about their workplace, but it's not written anywhere at all. And all information in some, my phone number or my notebook or whatever. And like ask people and educate them that you need to put it somewhere at least in regular document or Notion, for example. Many people use Notion. That's also a good place to put information, and it can be instructed later. And I believe that's the hardest part, just to educate your people to put information in some system which is accessible for the agent later. The rest is a matter of integration.
But it also, if you have an AI strategy or something you need to embark on, then it can force people and yourself to start thinking about it and start utilizing AI, start capturing and saving that information or putting some process around it. Because sometimes, you know, the chicken or egg story, whether we have a process, then we have an AI. But if we know that this is going to change the world and I don't want to be left behind, then we can say, I want to embark on this journey and I need to change a few processes. I need to put something in writing, then I can start working on that and build some data around it, build some process around it, and start utilizing one by one. We don't believe in launching the biggest, project like $100 million or a project like these oil gas companies launch, or $1 million project. Start with $50,000, $20,000, go one by one, and then add them. And since we have a custom software background, we can always weave the magic around it. Yep, I would love to know more questions, Tom. So even if they're generic, we love it because your questions are important for us.
Yeah. So I really like kind of like live examples. I really appreciate the examples you guys provided before. So I mean, just if I walk through an example of if I own a company that's manufacturing screws, for example, and I get a purchase order from a client, for 10,000 screws, and it kind of comes in how it comes in. The agent can receive that order,
Yes.
basically process that order, send it over to fabrication facility if these things need to be produced or they're already off the shelf, and it can work to kind of get that purchase order fulfilled and shipped out without anybody effectively touching it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, because like when it comes to finance, it's very sensitive, and we usually add some kind of report and quick look for the responsible person. So you can just click one button, is it okay or not okay, just for security reasons. But the rest is absolutely right. It can process all these steps, and with a small human supervision, it can be extremely effective.
So all that activity, when you create a purchase order, you have to manually say, okay, this is the purchase order received. Now I'm going to do this. All those screens and all those stuff can be taken care of by the agents, and information to various people, and take the information, say, from your production scheduling, and say, if your customer wants some kind of update on the delivery date, that delivery date, what is the delivery date, what is going to be, rather than informing the customer, it can go to your salespeople and say, is it sensitive? Because you don't want to tell your customer, I don't have that part which is actually going to be shipped tomorrow. And so all that stuff, it's up to you, but agent will bring that information and all that stuff to you as a human, and you can take that call and say, yes, send the information back to the customer, and they can be happy that we can receive. And then all the information, like for example, simple things like we have so many shipments coming in, and those shipments are tracked by UPS and all that. Our people don't have time to track that all the time. We can have an agent just do the track and inform and look at actually it is on time or not. And if something is delaying, inform 5 days before, when it is not reaching the, say, Memphis airport before traveling to you, it should have reached there. And if you have 5 days to plan your schedule, it can make a lot of change in your life, right, as a manufacturing, because you now know, rather than showing up at the dock, at the receiving warehouse, and say, where the hell is this instrument which this raw material which was about to come, right, today. So either you have humans looking at all the time. So you have worked in oil and gas, right? So I worked in a few oil and gas companies, and I've worked in manufacturing. Manufacturing is by far, in my opinion, the most complex companies in the world. I My appreciation for manufacturing rose when I first took this job in California. Before that, I never thought, there's so much of complexity is there, right? So I'm like material requirement planning, the demand planning. This is so much of happening. Many of those steps can be done by these agents. Yes.
This might be nuanced, or a bit too detail oriented for right now, but are there any cybersecurity concerns, and how do you guys handle that in the development process, and how is that set up for companies as time goes on?
Yeah, that's amazing question. I prefer, like, we prefer to treat an AI agent as junior employee. That means you never leave junior employee on his own, right? You always have some kind of supervision. So at sensitive points, there always must be someone who can take a look and ensure it works properly. For example, like my Swiss friend, he has online store of wall decoration, different, painting, and he has like hundreds of thousands of products, and extremely hard to find anything in his store. So they have a call center. You can call them and they will explain all information to you. But people after purchase, they ask questions like, I don't know, how much more can I find more this color on your website? And those questions are pretty simple, but pretty time consuming. And what we do, the AI agent analyzes that email, prepare the answer, put it into the draft, and after that, responsible person just goes quickly, is it fine, and like click send, because this communication is very sensitive, and we all know that LLMs may always AI they can generate answers which actually do not exist or on, and that's why there is some kind of supervision in this customer conversation stuff. And so yeah, that's what you need to keep in your mind. And of course, it's very dangerous to just to allow your AI assistant go on the internet, the same as a human. Because like I'm not sure are you watching for all this latest news, but OpenAI presented this new browser. It's called Atlas, and Perplexity has one. I don't use it. I don't use it for a very simple reason. If you can hide a prompt on web page, and this browser will come on that page, it will start to execute your prompt, because engine cannot distinct the data on the page. It cannot split the data on the page, and the prompt itself, it's all the same for the. It's like you can convince someone, right? You can meet, for example, me tomorrow and convince, like, I know this kind of beer is the best one in the world. And the same happens with LLM. You can convince LLM to do your stuff just by text on the web page. So from my perspective, the most critical part is allowing access to internet. Other than that, you can have 100% control. Of course, you need to be accurate with and precise with all comments and everything you do. Put a people in and put a human in the loop and on every critical stage, and all of that together allows to be 100% secure and control the execution of your AI agents in full.
Fantastic. And I wanted to also, hey, welcome, Travis. If you have any question, please let us know. We have just done with the presentation, but we are going ahead with the answers, question answers here. I'll give you one more, Tom, one more example, which because you have gone into bigger companies also. Like one of my last project as a SAP consultant was in data and master data. Like master data is a very big problem for people and for large companies. Now, in that company where I worked, there were at least 20 master data specialists whose only job was to look at that those fields in the like 200 fields and say, is this is this as per policy? Is this as per policy? Is it free? Is this filled? Is this filled? All that. So Yevgen and I are talking about maybe creating some kind of a template and all also in that area, or after we get some time. Maybe those kind of areas are the right for us things. You know, your purchase officer or a manager has so much of information, so much of work going on. They don't have time to review so many proposals, or even you can say, hey, I want this agent to go and search three similar products and engage with these suppliers, get the best prices and give it to me, and I can look into it. Yeah, that's possible. You know, that's possible. Now, what else a human will do? You know, you can have that thing, reach out, do it on internet, even make some calls and do something. It as it becomes complicated, it's difficult to handle, but things are getting improved. And if we are on this journey, I think it's better to be on the journey than to wait for everybody else to be on this journey. I think people people in US are usually, they are known in the world to jump on the thing faster than anybody else, and that's what it sets them apart. You know, you see how I don't know whether you like Trump or not, but in the last 9 months he has changed the game entirely on AI. Before that, we were only talking about, hey, your sex this and but things now, everybody is obsessed. Something has happened, right? I'm not for or against him. I'm just uh, telling you what's going on. Anyway, uh, but these things can, like, master data and those kind of like, I can have hi, welcome, Stan. uh, and what these kind of agents can be checking the data, validity of the data, the problems in the data, and before that so all those things can be done. So it's we always say we can propose maybe 20 different scenarios based on our experience. But if you are running a company, I think you and I and Yevgen can sit, and I'm not trying to sell anything. We're just talking about some the 50 different scenarios where this these kind of agents, because you see the problem every day more than us. And when you see, like I gave the example, like my CFO friend told me this, as he's a CPA also, and he's a score mentor. He got two people and said, I don't know what's happening for the last 2, 3 years. I seem to be earning no money, even though I have revenue. I am working hard and we are working everything. But end of the day, there's nothing in the bank. What's happening? Oh, because you bid for 15% and not end up earning 1% because there's so much of chaos. And it's not your fault. It is the life, it is the right business. Like I always give this example of my own success onto something. I In 2018, when I started my entrepreneurial journey, my first website I created, if you remember those days, I wrote down all things which I want in the website, hired a copywriter on Upwork. He said, "Oh, no, this is not going. I have my own template. Answer all the questions in this template." He gave me 4 or 5 pages. I made 15 pages out of it. It took me 3 weeks to actually think through it and all that. I gave it to him. He gave back after 2 weeks, and I didn't like it. So we can go on and all. 3 months later, I had a website. Okay, but now it takes me less than an hour to brainstorm with Gemini and ChatGPT to come up with something and maybe throw in all these things. So I always ask this question. It is the same question which we people asked when iPhone came in. Why can't we have the similar kind of technology in our business? Similar kind of things. If I can get 100x improvement in our ability to create copy for the website, probably we can have at least 10 times the other thing if we look into it. So my only request to you all is to, when you go back and look at your companies or your future companies, what you're buying, like you're all our searchers, look at that as an opportunity and say, I can automate this and I can reduce the expenses. Now, don't underwrite it on based on that. Treat it as a your sweet bonus and say, go for the worst, right? And underwrite it at the right way what you're doing, but always have that secret sauce and the secret weapon in your head, in your pocket, and say, I can change this and make the profit looks much better and revenue looks better. Hey Stan, you came a little late, but we
I'm sorry.
just had a great conversation. But maybe next time you can join earlier also. But do you have any question on any AI agents and all that? No. Okay.
No, I was just listening to what you said, and I apologize. I came in late. There was no when I registered, I didn't get a link. So but I found it.
Okay.
When I this is not about AI or agents. But when I started my business, it took us 5 months to sell our first deal, and then we sold 48 new name accounts in the next 24 months. And we were doing development on half of these deals, and I was growing the company. And when we would have a good month, we would make $5,000 or $10,000, and when we had a bad month, we would lose 50.
Okay.
And I said, "This is ass backwards, right?
Yeah.
When we had a good month, we should be making 50, and we have a bad month, we should be losing 5 or 10. This
Yeah.
is crazy. This is crazy."
Mhm.
And that same year, Accenture's revenues went from 4 billion to 5 billion
Yeah.
that year. And I said, I don't know how to do this. We're not doing it right. We don't understand the business.
Mhm.
And let me push back on you, Sandeep.
Yeah.
If you're working so hard and everybody's busy and you're not making 50 in a good month, okay, you don't understand your business. You're not selling it properly.
Yeah.
Okay? And I don't care what the business is.
Yeah.
It could be agentic AI and you bet. And wouldn't it be great, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great is baloney. I mean, if you don't understand your business and how you should be making the money,
Yeah.
then
Yeah, I agree. And
I-
Yevgen, I was tell you that so Yevgen is my business partner and CEO of the company. He's much more technical
Yeah.
than I am, and
Nice to meet you.
I can
We had
again, nice
several
meeting you. I'm glad
yeah, we had small conversation through emails.
Yeah, so Stan and I met a few months back, a year back, when he had a product of his own on project management and all that, but he has moved on from there and now consulting and advising a few companies and I love to have him maybe someday help us get some clients and work together with us.
Yeah.
You know, he
Yeah.
is.
No,
he
I'd
has-
like to, and I'd like to. It seems like I just pushed everybody else off the meeting. That was not my
no,
my intent.
they were here for last hour or so, so it's okay.
Oh, didn't the meeting just start? I thought it started
No,
at 11.
maybe no. It started at 12 my time, so maybe there was some kind of a communication issues with you.
Right, because I had it down for 11.
Yeah, so
So 10 minutes ago. I apologize.
No problem. You came at the time when the meeting was about to end. But anyway, next week I will do the same thing again and join us. You know, we can have a
And let me my boss will not let me give away my time.
I understand.
But I need not a lot, and because I want to get well, first I like you guys, which is important, and because I had a contract for the first 6 months of the year with a man I didn't like, and he was mean, and a negative motivator. Okay, just like, who needs that stuff?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody.
And a bad businessman besides.
Yeah.
As in,
yeah.
I had
That's-
for example, I had a prospect. Okay, I sent him an email that I need a quote. It took him 5 weeks to send me a quote.
Yeah.
How many times can you ask? Okay, where's the quote? Okay, or
this
can I
terrible
do it?
combination of personal skills.
Right. It's funny, Evgen. I used to say that Universal Studios was my example of a combination of incompetence and arrogance, and just breathtaking incompetence and breathtaking arrogance at the same time. So anyway, I'd love to help you guys. And
so we do not have the capacity right now. We are rolling up our sleeves ourselves and trying, but the moment we start expanding, we will think about you, Stan.
Okay.
And we appreciate your interest, and let's be in touch.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you for coming.
Evgen, stay safe. You're in Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
No. I have been living in US for some time right now, and I'm here in Europe. I'm not in Ukraine. So.
Oh, where are you in Europe?
I'm safe. I'm in Georgia.
Oh,
Very
wow.
nice place. Living in Batumi, it's down at the sea, and like I see Black Sea every day from my window, and just enjoying good weather right now.
Yeah, good.
Same as in Texas.
Yeah, and I'm in LA. My walk every morning. So I live in a town called Pacific Palisades, and Pali is Hawaiian for bluff. Okay. So every morning I walk down to the bluffs overlooking the Pacific, and it's 0.8 of a mile down the road that way.
Okay.
I love it. I'm jealous of both of you, basically.
Yeah, and you live in
I'm in Texas.
Texas.
I'm not tree, nothing, Okay.
There was a post on LinkedIn yesterday about how great Dallas is, and a friend of mine called it a big Bakersfield.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Okay, so thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye.
Good.
Thank you.
Take care. Sorry.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.